2009, Jeremy Corbyn, then a comparatively unknown backbencher, addressed a Stop the War Coalition rally in which he made the following remarks.
Thank you everyone for being here tonight, and say that tomorrow evening it will be my pleasure and my honour to host an event in Parliament where our friends from Hezbollah will be speaking. I've also invited friends from Hamas to come and speak as well. Unfortunately, the Israelis would not allow them to travel here, so it's going to be only friends from Hezbollah. So far as I'm concerned, that is absolutely the right function of using parliamentary facilities to invite people from other parts of the world.
These comments were rebroadcast when Mr. Corbyn was elected leader of the UK Labour Party in 2015 and immediately created a media firestorm. They fed directly into the terrorist sympathiser anti-Semitism crisis narrative that was being created by the political media estate and which would go on to dominate reporting of his time as leader of the Labour Party from 2015 to 2019. David Cameron, the then Prime Minister, devoted an entire Prime Minister's Questions, PMQs, session to Jeremy Corbyn's comments, hammering home the idea that Jeremy Corbyn couldn't be trusted, that he was a terrorist sympathiser, and that his words about fighting anti-Semitism meant nothing while he described Hamas and Hezbollah as his friends, and demanded he retract the comments.
Whatever the right honourable gentleman says about combating anti-Semitism in the Labour Party will mean nothing until he withdraws the remark that they were his friends.
Anti-Semitism has no place in our society whatsoever.
He said, "It will be my pleasure and my honour to host an event in Parliament where our friends from Hezbollah will be speaking. I've also invited friends from Hamas to come and speak as well. Withdraw that they're your friends."
I've made it very clear, Labour is an anti-racist party and there is no place for anti-Semitism within it.
He must stand up and say they are not his friends.
Anyone that commits racist acts or is anti-Semitic is not a friend of mine. I would also invite him to think for a moment about the conduct of his party and his candidate in the London mayoral election.
He shared a platform with Sajil Shahid, the man who trained the ringleader of the 7/7 attacks. One more time, say you withdraw the remark.
The Prime Minister tried, as he often does, to smear my friend, the member for Tooting.
His attempts to deal with anti-Semitism are utterly condemned to failure.
A lifelong Tory voter and ex-candidate, I'm ashamed of the repulsive campaign of hate.
He may be a friend of the terrorist group Hamas, but he's an enemy of aspiration. You can choose a party that's on the side of security for hard-working people. Or the other choice, you can back a party that puts extremists over working people.
Jeremy Corbyn refused to do this, insisting that the language he had used was merely inclusive diplomatic language in order to facilitate a meeting between warring factions, and that it did not mean that he agreed with Hamas or Hezbollah.
I'm happy for you to make all of that clear. Right. I'm saying you use these words, friends. Now, are you saying they're not your friends? Or are you saying they are your friends?
I'm saying that people I talk to, I use it in a collective way, saying our friends we're prepared to talk to. Does it mean I agree with Hamas and what it does? No. Does it mean I agree with Hezbollah and what they do? No. What it means is that I think to bring about a peace process, you have to talk to people with whom you may profoundly disagree. There is not going to be any peace process unless there is talks involving Israel, Hezbollah and Hamas. And I think everybody knows that.
But as
Jeremy Corbyn has repeatedly made the obvious point that in order to bring about a peace process, it is necessary to talk to all of the sides, all of the warring factions, and to have them together collectively in order to bring about peace, because this is the only way that a peace process can ever work. This is so obvious it really shouldn't need saying. The scandal has never quite gone away, though, and the accusation regularly recurs in discussions about Mr. Corbyn and his leadership, with the nickname Hezbollah being widely used to describe him. So while it is true that Mr. Corbyn did refer to Hamas and Hezbollah as friends, It is grossly misleading to say this without also describing the context in which he said it. He merely used inclusive diplomatic language to facilitate peace talks, and he has made that perfectly clear. He did not and does not agree with them. Does it mean I agree with Hamas and what it does? No. Does it mean I agree with Hezbollah and what they do? No. He really couldn't have been any clearer. So, the verdict would have to be, it is true, but it is grossly misleading to say it.